Sabah everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about a microphone system that can help you improve the quality of the videos that you produce, be it personal or even if you're creating a YouTube video like this. It's called the Pixel Vocal Lark, and it's intended to give us not only just the ability of recording two subjects at the same time with the two transmitters and one receiver, but also the ability of having a nice feature called noise reduction. So that's reducing the ambient sound around us to be able to get more focused audio on the actual speaker, as well as the ability of adding background music, you heard it correctly, background music into our videos straight into the receiver. This is TK and this is my review of the Pixel Vocal Lark microphone system. Let's check it out. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos on the channel. Now when it comes down to the actual accessories that they include here, they literally include every single thing that you need. All the way to a USB-A to USB-C cable that allows us to charge both microphones and the transmitter and the receiver at the same time from the same source. They also include two antennas to extend the range of these two microphones beyond the 20 meters that they're advertising for the best experience. They also have an adapter here if you're depending on your audio system. The three different types of TRRS and TRS cable configurations, we'll talk about them in a second. A USB-C to USB Type A converter to be able to convert our USB-C to USB-C cable, so in case we want to be able to use it to charge. Also, we're able to use this cable to calibrate and make sure that the microphone and the receiver are actually tuned correctly in case you lose sync. Last but not least, we have a cold shoe mount that's included here that you're able to use on top of your camera to be able to position the microphones or even use them with the receiver, as they do include a clip to mount on your actual camera. Last but not least, of course, we have is the instruction manual provided to us in multiple languages, and also lists all the included materials that you have in there. And as you can see, I've been actually looking at this page quite a bit. Now, each microphone that we have here carries 5 different profiles. There's the original sound, that's just the sound that comes out when you first turn it on, and the LED light at the bottom of the microphone will turn white. Now, if you turn it one more, meaning you click it once, it'll take you directly into noise reduction. And this one will reduce, filter ambient noises around us. So let's say, keyboard clicking, just general ambient noise around us. It does not actually cancel out people's conversation. So if somebody's next to you talking, you're going to be able to hear them through this. Now, the next 3 options are basically tailored experience or profiles for female, male, and child. And it goes between red, blue, and green. As far as the receiver itself, there's 3 options on the back. We have the headphone jack to be able to listen and monitor the audio. We have the full output. This is typically what goes directly into your camera or your audio receiver, whichever you're recording your audio on. And then last but not least, we also have the ability of bringing in external audio, which we'll show you guys in the demo a little bit later on. And that enables us to actually add external audio, like let's say a music background or some type of an external audio source that you can feed directly in here. This will also be the port that you're using in case you want to daisy chain more than one of these receivers, meaning you can actually use multiple systems in conjunction by connecting the output port from this end to the receiving port on this end from the next receiver, and you can do that all the way up to 9 different systems. And the last thing, which obviously is not included in this kit, I'm going to be using my RX-7100 Mark 7. This is going to be one of my favorite vlogging, one of my favorite portable equipment because it has a flippy camera to the front, as well as it also has a 3.5mm headphone jack input. So I can use external audio sources and I can still see myself whenever I'm filming with this little portable guy. And the system is really begging to be portable. Now, when it comes to the hardware, we have 2 microphones. They're already paired and configured to work directly with this unit. So I'll go ahead and push the power button on them. I'll give it a second. You'll notice there's 2 different profiles that are turned on. That's depending on what you were using before. I'll also go ahead and press and hold the power button on the receiver so that turns on for us. And you'll notice that it actually recognizes both earpieces. Now, whenever there's noise coming in, meaning if the microphones are actually listening, you'll notice that the yellow color stays yellow. If I go quiet for a second, they turn red, and that's because it tells you if there's audio coming in from that source. Also, it tells you the profile that the microphones are using. Now, the microphones themselves have a built-in battery charged via USB Type-C. So these clips allow us to actually clip these to our shirt so we can actually put them on as opposed to having to hold them. And of course, we have the microphones built into the top. So these are definitely the configuration, and to change different profiles, you just have to do a single click. So if I do a single click, it'll change profiles from where it is. So here we have green. I'll switch over. This was the white one. Now, to be able to turn them on or turn them off, just press and hold on the power button till the either light turns on or turns off. Pretty simple. Now, when it comes to the receiver, we'll notice there's 2 antennas, a USB-C to charge, as well as the ability of using this clip. And this one actually does mount into a cold shoe. It's very nice and very simple. On the bottom, as I mentioned to you guys, we have basically the options of being able to add the audio out that goes directly into our camera, monitoring audio, and this is audio in. And you'll notice that there's an arrow. This circle has an arrow pointing out, and this circle has a pointing in, which means this is audio input, this is audio output. On the right side, we have the ability of changing the configuration between the two different bands, as well as the ability of changing different profiles. So if you look at the center, if I press the button, now we have different broadcasting modes, and these are intended to be more EQ settings applied on to the actual audio coming in. We have the battery level here on the top right and top left for the battery of the actual microphones, and a bottom one is directly for this transmitter or the receiver. The profile that's based on this one, there's blue on this one, white on this one. And if I'm talking, these two speaker audio will change color depending if there's audio and there isn't any audio. And of course, signal strength. One of the other accessories they do include in the box is an antenna for extended range. These are rated to work perfectly within 20 meters directly from the receiver and the transmitter, but if you do want to go for a little bit of extended time, they do include an antenna for each microphone. Just plugs in via the USB-C connector. You're still able to pin this directly into your shirt and use it. You just need to be aware that there is an extender, and this will allow you to go further than the 20 meters and still get great audio with these microphones. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is the cables that they include. They have a cable for almost everything you need to use. Unfortunately, there's no TRRS or TRS to USB-C. You do need to use the adapter that most devices come with. So an example for me, for the S21 Ultra, I would use this adapter with the TRRS option since it has the 3-prong connector, and then I'll be able to record audio directly on my Galaxy device. But if you're using it with your camera and has an audio input, you need to use the right cable. And what that means essentially is you have a different configuration. You have the TRS, the 2 connectors options, or the TRRS, and it does specifically say which one goes to the device and which one goes to the actual receiver. So you notice right here, connect to receiver, connect to receiver, connect to receiver. So the straight cable with the TRRS configuration goes directly into the output port from the receiver, and of course these will connect to depending on the device that you're using. Now for smartphones, TRRS configurations will work great. For cameras, typically it's going to be TRS, but make sure that you're using the right cable for your device, and they include all of them. So let's start off with the microphone directly connected to the existing setup that I use here in my videos. So this is exactly how we would be. I'm not using any of the profiles. I'm just keeping it on the standard default profile. Now there's the noise reduction, male, female, and child, and we're not using any of those. This is pretty much how it would sound if, let's say, I was recording a video using this microphone right now. Now we're going to switch over to going outside because I want to go and show you guys the different modes that we have. Again, noise reduction, male, female, and child profile, as well as some of those EQ options that we have on the receiver, and of course bringing in some audio to be able to put some background music, again using that receiver. Now let's take things outside and start talking about the different experiences you can use outside with the actual microphone. Now, first and foremost, again, we have 4 different options. We have the male, female, child, as well as that noise reduction. And it cycles through in the process of noise reduction, female, male, child, and then it goes back to the white color, I guess, the color on the microphone. And that gives you the ability of getting just basically the standard audio experience. The reason why we want to have the ability of having noise reduction, which, by the way, it's intended mostly for environmental sound, like keyboard and things around us, not necessarily audio. So if somebody else next to me is talking, this is not going to reduce their sound. It's only going to work on environmental audio. Let's go ahead and turn it on. And this is going to reduce the environmental sound, and it should be pretty noticeable from what we were just a second ago. This gives us the ability, again, to focus on the subject without necessarily having to change anything on the camera or even on the transmitter or the receiver per se, because all of this is being done here. We turn this on, suddenly the environment suddenly becomes a little bit less noisy, and now you can hear me a little bit better. Let's go ahead and switch over now to the 3 different profiles, female, male, and then child. Now with this mode on, this is intended to focus on more of a female speaker. So if the subject is a female speaker and you wanted to get them to sound a little bit better, this should be able to help you provide a better audio experience. Let's go ahead and switch over to the men's one. And with this one, you're getting a much better vocal representation for a men's voice. So a little bit more lower bass, definitely more intended to just sound a little deeper, more pronounced as a man. Now, of course, we have another profile, which is the green color profile, and that gives us the child mode. So if you're recording something with your child, you can have the program on the microphone that they're having on to be green, and then for yours, you can set it up to be blue. And if it's a female speaker, set it up to be red. Just match it to the person that you're using. But it's not really where it all ends. There are a lot more options that we can do on the receiver from an EQ standpoint, meaning adding audio effects as well as a musical background, meaning adding background music to your video on the go without having to even touch a PC. All of that is done on the receiver. Now, those are intended to provide us an experience without necessarily being an experience. So one of them is called theater mode, basically music hall mode, broadcast mode, and those are intended to add, again, an effect to the audio. So we'll start off with the first one. So the first mode is called recording studio. So it's adding in a recording studio effect to the audio that we're receiving right now into the camera. So what it's doing, obviously, is just adding an EQ to it. It should still sound pretty decent, but if you wanted to get that audio effect as if you were doing a studio recording, this is definitely going to work for you really nicely. Now, the next one's called broadcast mode. And what you can hear here is a little bit of a different tune. It tended to sound more as if you're using a microphone in your hand, although we're still using the same hardware. Now, the next one is called concert hall, which, again, this is intended to make it sound as if I'm sitting in a concert hall. Now, there's one more option here called auditorium, and again, it's also going to provide us a slightly different experience. As if we are sitting inside of an auditorium and we're listening, or we're using our microphones in that experience. You have the ability of customizing it all the way from the receiver as well as the transmitter. And there's even one more option here, because as I showed you guys before, the receiver actually has 3 ports on the back. One for audio out, one for monitoring, and one for audio in. Okay, so now we're switching over to the last function, or the last mode, which I really think is one of the coolest options that we have here. Not only do we have the ability of bringing in audio from the receiver, so we have 2 mics to 1 receiver, we can daisy chain the receivers to add even additional mics, and we also have the ability of monitoring the audio from the receiver. Those are a lot of cool options, but the 3rd port that we have here allows us to bring in audio as you guys are listening to right now. But now, as opposed to listening to the outside nature sound, I actually have a background music playing on my RX-7100 Mach 7 from Sony. So makes this super portable, super nice, especially if you're trying to vlog, you're trying to go outdoors and be in the environment. So you can customize it from the audio profile, from the EQ profile, and also add music to it on the go, just by connecting your smartphone to the input on the back of the receiver. Now we're back to the standard profile. So there's no EQ, there's nothing configured here. And as you saw and you heard, the experience changes based on where you are. If you're in a studio and you're wanting to use this as an A camera kind of an experience, the way I'm using it right now, you do need to clip it or hold it by hand, and that's going to be the only experience you're able to use. There's no input for external, let's say a lavalier microphone or any kind of external option. That's pretty much the only way you're using the microphones that are built in here. Now, as far as functionality, you get 2 of them. You're able to use it for basically 2 different people, and each person has their own profile. The LCD display that we have here on the actual receiver gives us all of the information and aggregate information. So battery level, signal strength, connectivity, what channel we're connected to, and of course, what mode we're in. On top of the ability, as you heard, that we're able to actually also add some EQ functionalities. Although I found those to be, depending on the experience, if you do want to add echo to your sound or do things to that effect, they're going to be there and they're going to be easily done, again, on the go. And that's one of the reasons why I really like this system. It's small, it's portable, it works great with the RX-7100 that I'm showing you guys, that I've recorded most of my video from here. So with the exception of the introduction and a little bit of the overhead when I was showing you guys the accessories, everything else has been recorded straight on the RX-7100. So you're getting experience, more of a vlog style type of experience. So would I recommend this microphone system to anybody looking to improve their video production, even from being like home videos, or even if they're trying to just improve their YouTube configuration? I probably will say this. This system works great. You get 2 microphones, 1 receiver, a ton of optimizations that you're able to do between EQ settings or customizations on the audio, as well as the ability of actually adding EQ functionalities directly on the actual receiver. To top that off, we're able to add external audio, meaning background music into the actual experience without having to have a PC. Typically, I'm adding that layer of audio in my production or my editing tool later on to be able to have some background music. So if you want to do this on the go, you don't have any limitations. Connect your smartphone to the receiver and you're ready to go and insert the audio. My only recommendation would be is make sure you're listening to the audio the way you're inserting it so that you're not making it so loud that it overpowers the main subject of the video. Now, one thing I probably would have liked was the ability of using some type of a lavalier microphone experience. Now, in the studio, if I'm using these here, these are definitely not going to be the best experience because now you're seeing this sitting on my shirt this whole time. Typically, we want to have this a little bit more concealed and something running more like a microphone system that I have right here. So this system will improve and take your video production, either be it personal, professional, to the next level. And it's simple and it's easy and it's all inclusive. Like and subscribe, and thank you very much to Pixel, Vocal, Lark for allowing me to check out the system and share with you guys my experience. I'll see you in the next video.